Hi, I'm Regina Taylor, and I'm the curator of the Black Album mixtape. And I am so happy to have with us Miss Saundra Santiago, star of stage and film, Miss Miami Vice, Miss View from the Bridge, Miss Evita, and the list goes on and on and on. Sopranos. Just so happy that you have joined us. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Regina. We've stayed in touch over the years, and I've always happy to see you on the screen when I can. I go, oh, there's Regina. Like in the one I just saw recently, where you play, that you're in fire and all. What was
Oh, Lovecraft Country. I
yeah?
love doing that. I love doing that series. Very special experience.
It was very interesting, very interesting. I loved seeing you because you always play these spiritual roles. You're
Mm.
always the deepest one in the scene, as
Oh,
you know.
that's very kind of you. And I love seeing you in everything and all in your varied roles. I know that we went to school together at SMU.
Yes, you did.
I'd like to go back because that was by way of the Bronx, by way of Cuba and Puerto Rico, by way of your parents.
Yeah.
And then you moved to Florida at a certain point and went to college in Florida. How did you then find your way to SMU?
Okay. Well, I entered the University of Miami as a special education major,
Hmm.
and some guy on the campus. I was sitting on a bench, and he came up to me and asked me to be in one of his student productions. And I remember thinking, he's probably trying to pick me up or something. And he was this kind of shrubby, I don't know. He was Latino Cuban guy, and I said, well, why would you ask me that? I'm not an actress. And why don't you go to the theater and find someone there? And he said, no, no, you're exactly what I'm looking for. So,
Oh,
and I went home, I asked my dad, I said, Dad, what do you think if I, tried this out? And my father, who called me Sandy all the time, try it, Sandy, try it. So I did the production. It was a disaster.
oh, what show was it?
It was Ionescu's The Pupil. How,
Uh-huh.
so, and she's very, I don't know if you've ever read that one. It's
Yes.
just between the professor and the pupil. And basically, he molests her mind. That's how I think of it now.
Hmm.
And there were so many lines in it. And I don't know how I learned them, but I did. And I made it through. And that's how I caught what they say, the bug, you know.
Right.
So, and then I continued to do my special ed classes, but they kept casting me in shows,
Mhm.
and I could sing and move a little, so I kept doing all these musicals, and eventually I had to give up on the special ed because I was in the theater all day and night, you know, and to my mother's horror, she she thought I ran off and became a prostitute.
Oh no.
Hated the idea that I was going to be an
Mm.
actress. And but they had good teachers there. And so there was one teacher, Robert Lowry. We called him Buckets because I don't know what that's the nickname, but Buckets. I said, but I said I don't feel secure enough to go to New York, and I was a little scared. And he said, well, why don't you study some more? And I said, yeah, I want to study more Shakespeare, more what do you call that? Classics. I want to study the classics.
Mhm.
And he told me about Jack Clay.
Ah, SMU,
And
head of the department.
head of the department. And Jack had lived in Florida, had studied, I mean, had taught at the University of Miami for a minute.
Mhm.
And so that's how they knew about him. And so I wrote to Jack Clay, and I couldn't afford to go to New York for the auditions. So he very kindly said, well, I'm going to be at the University of Florida. Can you meet me there?
Mm.
And I did. And we had a sort of private audition. And I did my Beatrice from Beatrice and Bennett from Much Ado.
Yes, yes.
And I did Googie Gomez from the Terrence McNally play, The Ritz.
Ah,
And that next thing I know, I got a letter saying they accepted me and gave me a partial scholarship.
mm. Fantastic.
And I don't know if you were there at the time because you're younger than me and you were undergrad at the time. Were
I
you?
was an undergraduate, and I remember when you went home on spring break, I babysat your bird,
Parakeet Errol Flynn.
parakeet Errol. Yes, yes.
I bought. I was so lonely in my little one studio raunchy apartment right near the university that I was renting, and I went to Woolworths. Remember when Woolworths was still around?
Yeah.
I went there and they had a sale. Um,
What
buy,
sale on parakeets?
yeah, they said buy the cage, get the bird free.
Ah!
So I bought the cage and I picked out Errol,
Mm.
and he turned
Why Errol?
because I was obsessed with Errol Flynn.
Yes, but why this particular bird?
I, I just, I don't know. He had, he did have a great personality.
Yes, he did. I
He,
thought he was very sweet.
he used to do little tricks, like if you put him on the table and put little objects on the table, he would go up to them and throw them off. And he kissed. He learned how to kiss. And towards the end of his life, my mother swore that he was talking. Like one, she would go by him and he would say, shut up. And that's what mother was telling him to shut up. Because he ended up in my mother's house. And I couldn't bring him to New York because, I'm
Yeah,
going to,
you moved to New York after graduation.
I moved to New York and it was very impractical to go there with a bird in a cage, in addition to whatever clothes I had or whatever. But, I saw him a lot.
Yeah.
He lived a long time.
How long did he live?
Well, until 1989,
Mm.
because I went home and the first thing I would do is go back to the cage and check on Errol. And this is really sad. And Errol wasn't there.
Oh,
I ran to my mother. I said, what's happened to Errol? She said, oh, I didn't want to tell. And she said it just like this, no emotion, nothing. I didn't want to tell you over the phone, but Errol kicked the bucket.
mm.
And I said, did you leave the windows open? I told you never to leave the windows open. They catch drafts easily when they get old. Anyway, it was a little bit of a drama, but
Mm.
he couldn't live forever.
Mm.
He lived from 1982 to 1989.
He was a wonderful bird. He was very dramatic and very sweet. That's what I recall. So after graduation, you moved straight to New York from Dallas, Texas, SMU.
Yes, I moved to New York. Well, I, remember those auditions we did in New
Yes,
Well,
our senior final year, we were brought up to New York to do the general auditions for everyone. Yeah.
Right, right. And we got agents, we got little jobs here and there. I got to do this play at SUNY Purchase. Now, I didn't have my equity card yet. I
Mhm.
had my SAG card because in my final year of SMU, I got a movie with a local agent who sent me out on a movie called The Awakening of Edna. I think shortened it to The Awakening. And it was an independent feature to be shot all through Mississippi, all around the coast. And it's based on the book, The Awakening of Edna, by, I forget her name, the writer. And it was financed by Ruth Sharp, who was a very wealthy and prominent woman in the Dallas area.
Mhm.
And, she was very good friends with the director of the producer of Breakfast at Tiffany's, and Martin Giroux.
Mhm.
Was an older man at the time I met him. And I went to that audition. It was for a small part, but opposite two of the stars. And she's a Creole. And I had to speak in Spanish, very few lines, uh, barefoot, you know, in period dress. And they would send me 2 or 3 times in that month, and I was allowed to do it, which was against the rules at SMU at the time. But Jack Clay allowed me because I said, Jack, if I do this, I get my SAG card. So I did the film. It was a nice film. I don't know where it is. I don't know if it can be seen, but there are a lot of great actors in it. Kathleen Widows, uh, wonderful actors. Anyway, um, so I also got this little SUNY thing, Man is Man at SUNY we did. And that was with Cleavon Little, uh, uh, Vincent Schiavelli. Remember that tall, had a
Yeah.
long face.
Yeah.
And um,
Yeah. You were working with heavyweights.
yeah, they were great. They were all, of course, it was all men and one woman. She's still working too, wonderful actress, a redhead. Uh, Gosh, I can't remember her name, but I played, I played this girl who sings a song, her daughter, but is mute. She's a mute, but I sing a song in the middle of the play, and that was it. And we had to do a dance, and it's kind of like Mother Courage. It was another type of Mother Courage.
Mm.
You,
Yes.
so from there, I found a room in an apartment in a loft building downtown on Fifth Avenue, off of Fifth Avenue.
Mhm.
And I had an agent at the time. I got my agent because of the auditions.
Yeah. The senior auditions.
Auditions, and that was a great thing too, to just arrive in New York already having an agent,
Yes.
which I can't imagine how kids are doing it now. But I mean, we were lucky in that we didn't have to go through, send out photos because we had that one great audition process. We were seen by every agent, every manager in New York City.
That was a great opportunity. Yes.
It was,
And uh, you moved to New York,
yeah.
and I think in a relatively short time, you were on Broadway.
Well, it took a year and a half. What happened was I got a call from my agent. They had let go of the actress who was playing Catherine in A View from the Bridge at the
Right.
Long.
Yes.
And I had no time to, I hadn't read it in a while. I hadn't recalled it, or I read it as I was on the train. They pick me up. I get to the theater, and there's Tony LoBianco, who's going to play Eddie. And
Right.
I walked. It was the director, Alvin. I'm at a loss for names today. Um, Great director. It'll come to me. And because I've had to memorize so much shit in the past month, that's why. Excuse.
It was a great opportunity in your first year in New York City to be starring on Broadway in A View from the Bridge.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that came like a year later.
Hmm.
We did it at the Long Wharf, and it was moved to Broadway
Yes.
with a couple of different actors. Um, yeah, that was amazing. And Arthur Miller was alive at the time, and very, very alive, and very much involved with the production.
Right.
And I remember, wow, the first day I met him, I showed up early to rehearsal because I wanted to make sure I knew my lines. And he was there before anyone,
Mm.
sitting in a couch. And I get there early, and I'm like, oh, and my mouth literally dropped. And without a second pass, he says, "You must be playing Catherine." And I said, "Yes." And it was such an honor and a privilege to get to know him just a little bit, and to have that amazing experience. And I remember thinking, it cannot be better than this. It can never get better than this.
Mm.
In a way, it didn't really, because everything I did after that it wasn't what
You've had an amazing career. You
yeah,
truly have, playing phenomenal roles and with an amazing group of top tier actors,
yeah,
both stage, TV, and film. Uh,
that's
I have to applaud you for that, sister.
why.
I have to applaud you for that. Uh,
Well, Miami Vice was fun because, yes,
and that was your next big break
no,
role,
my other break was Beat
Beat
Street
Street.
with and Harry Belafonte produced,
Mm,
and his son produced it. It was a
yeah,
family affair, and
yes,
that was a lot of fun too. And from that, I auditioned for Thomas Carter, the director of Miami Vice, the pilot, and
right.
and that kind of happened like that too. Oh, but
And Thomas Carter was directing everything, African American director.
yes,
He really broke through with directing for TV and was doing, I think, all the pilots for all the top tier hot shows. And Miami Vice was one of those hot shows, and you landed in the role of Gina in that.
right. What happened to Thomas? I mean,
Oh, he's still around. Absolutely. Hmm.
he was a lovely man too.
Yeah.
He
Mhm.
really took care of me on the set of the pilot.
Yes. Yes. Wonderful. Great director. Yes.
He had to protect me against Don Johnson.
Oh, oh,
I'm not going there, but Don, was very savvy at making sure he was in the right spot to get full shots, and he knew camera technique,
right.
and I didn't, at that point.
And Miami Vice was an iconic TV show.
Yes, and it was shot very specifically with specific colors.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the thing about those scenes around the detective table, Don would always position himself up against a wall,
Mm-hmm.
and so they would have to shoot him alone.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Some tricks of the trade.
Yes. They moved the camera around. That's when they started doing those round the table camera shots.
Beautiful. Yes.
Um, and I learned a lot from that. But we worked with some incredible actors and actresses and musicians. We worked with Miles Davis, James Brown. Uh, um, I just realized because Olivia Brown was my partner on the show, and we keep in
Yeah.
touch. And Chris Rock was on the show, and he was just like, he must have been
Oh.
17.
Oh, okay. Yes. A baby.
Yeah, he was young. He was very
Mhm.
young, and his acting was young too.
Mhm.
And
Around for a long time, hasn't he?
he
Incredible career.
still has that baby face.
Mhm.
And I didn't even realize it was Chris Rock. We had a scene. Olivia and I had a scene with him.
Mhm.
Uh, Willie Nelson. I had two scenes with Willie, and um, just some great people. Phil Collins, um, and some great actors. Some great character actors.
Right.
I had an episode with Stanley Tucci.
Everybody was on that show. And you became a household name from that show. What was the turning point for you?
In what way? Like when I realized that I was a household name, or when it became the thing about shooting a show
Yes.
that's not in LA,
Mm-hmm.
where the buzz is always happening, where people go to restaurants to be, we were the only stars in Miami.
Mm.
So we weren't, I wasn't barraged by people. Plus, I lived in a sort of secluded complex with a guard and a gate and all that. But, well, we had bodyguards on the set all the time because of the guys. So we weren't, it was like, I don't know, I was so unaware of what I was into. I
Mhm.
had no idea that it was going to become a cult show, or that we were creating this, you know, cult thing. I
Right.
just was just doing my job,
Right.
you know? And I had to fight for for more lines, for more airtime. With all those macho guys. I mean, it was really hard to get my time on screen, but I did fight a lot. I
Right.
was, um, but it was a learning experience because it's all brand new. It was
Mhm.
all new to me. I'd never done anything like that.
Mhm.
I mean, I'd done a lot of theater.
Right.
I could gauge my way around the stage. If I could find my light on any stage. But this was a big, bigger monster.
Right. What did that mean to you in terms of where you come from? From Was this an expected route? Did you expect this? Did you know this was going to happen for you?
No,
Mm.
I did not know I would end up on a TV show. I actually wanted to do movies,
Mhm.
and I was being seen for a lot of movies at the time. I was up for Scarface,
Right.
didn't get, but I went through a very brutal audition process with Brian De Palma and all the characters. Not with so much Al. Al was really great with me. Al wanted me for the part,
Mm.
and that's the truth. That's even written in an article. But
Mm.
you know, that movie was such a mess. And one of my best friends,
Mhm.
I would have been playing his girlfriend. His name in school was Rocky Echavarria, but he changed it to Stephen Bauer.
Mhm.
Stephen got the part.
Yes, but you have gotten some really great roles.
Yeah, I know. I have.
Have you have, I think,
But,
forged new paths for people, women who look like us. And
well,
I think
true.
uh, with that, I'm really proud of you.
Thank you, Regina. And well, you,
Can you talk about one of your favorite roles?
my favorite roles was see on screen or on in the theater.
Both.
I would have to say Catherine is one of my favorite
Mm,
theater roles
mhm.
because it was such a great experience.
Yeah.
Not that the others weren't. I've
Mm,
had some great parts in the theater. I even did a glass menagerie of late, and that was a beautiful experience.
mm.
And in film, because I haven't done big films, but I would say that there was one episode only because I got to sing on Miami Vice. I played my mother. No, no, wait. I played the twins in The Sopranos.
And which I loved. I
That,
loved seeing you in that. Yes.
that's just a two. I did like four scenes. And it was one episode. I was in like four episodes, but that was the biggest one. And I had so much fun playing Jeannie Cusmano and my twin sister Joan.
Mhm.
And do you know that you get paid twice when you play twins?
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
You should. If you ever play twins, you're supposed to get paid
Two
twice.
different roles.
Yeah. I had a manager at the time and he scored that.
Mm,
But that was a well-oiled show machine. I mean, Sopranos was a great experience because they ran that show so tight,
yeah.
and all the crew and the actors were all great to work with.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and it's just wonderful seeing you in these various roles with these amazing actors, and there you are, going toe to toe with each and every one of them. I love that you did a movie with Mr. Sidney Poitier.
oh yes, oh my God, that was
To
that was
Serve with Love.
Stir with Love Part Two.
Hmm. Yes.
Um, that was an amazing experience because I had was going through a divorce from my
Mm.
first husband, which was very painful. And I got that role like the day after I signed the divorce papers.
Mm.
And I got to Chicago, your neck of the woods. It was freezing cold. I was this skinny. I had lost so much weight. I was
Mm.
pathetic looking. I was so sad. And I played this inspirational teacher who is inspired by Sydney's teaching, obviously. And we sat in the middle of setups and shoots and talked all the time. We just talked and talked and talked. He
Mhm.
told me his entire life story, coming from Jamaica and all the issues he faced as a black man, and then marrying a white woman. And uh, it was really amazing. And he had no anger about it at all. He was so calming. And
Mhm.
I thought, this is a great experience because under the circumstances of what I'm going through right now,
Mm.
he's making me feel good again about myself.
Yes.
And
I got the privilege of working with him as well, so we have that in
I'm
common.
glad.
And again, it was a film called Children of the Dust. It was a Western. I
Oh,
love doing a Western
oh
with
man.
the horses and the wagons and the guns and the Wild West. Uh, it
How
was an amazing experience because he is that. He is such a gracious spirit,
fun.
such a great light, so kind and so humble. And I just loved every moment being in his presence, let alone acting with him.
Right?
A very special human being.
I mean, I would just sit there and just listen and stare,
Hmm.
which is really what the character was, because she heard so much about.
Trailblazer,
Oh
taking on these
gosh, yeah.
roles that we'd never seen before. How do you look at that in terms of your career of shining light on others who may not see themselves, may not have seen themselves on the screen in the ways that you've offered?
Well, I never thought of myself as a type.
Hmm.
And so when I went to New York, I mean, they want to put you in a box. You know that, right? The powers to be always want to segregate, if I have to use that word, you into different. Well, you're just a Latin this, or you're a Latin mother this, or you're a woman of color this, or what. And I says, I never think of myself as a color or a type, or I just think of myself as an actor who wants to fit into any role that I find endearing. Like no one would ever cast me as in Glass Menagerie, except that this production was an, a pure ethnic production. As you know, I don't know, you remember Denzel Washington's daughter played my daughter,
Right.
and this wonderful, wonderful actor, Richard Priolo, played my son. And it was so incredible to do this because it wasn't because we were this or that. We were just playing these great characters that were written by a great playwright.
Hmm.
And I think that happened to me with the little Shakespeare training I got at SMU, because we got to do those crazy parts
Hmm.
that
The
Miss.
classroom work was essential to take us in whatever direction we wanted to go in.
Right, but they weren't stereotypical roles. I don't think that Shakespeare wrote for Latinas or Black people or Asians or, Italians. I think he wrote characters.
Hmm.
And and that's all I've ever wanted to do. I never wanted to put myself in a box.
Right. When people say that you are a role model,
Oh,
what's your reaction?
well, role model is more positive because, well, when I did Miami Vice, Rita Moreno did an episode and
Mm.
she showed
Yeah.
up, and she was a role model for me
Yes.
because one of my favorite movies of all time is West Side Story.
Yes.
And she was before her time. I mean, she went in there and became a movie star. Not an easy feat. I mean, there was Carmen Miranda before her,
Mhm.
but Carmen was from South America, or Brazilian. And there was Dolores Del Rio,
Mhm.
who was a beautiful uh, Mexican movie star who
Right.
who did American films. Um, uh, and I always looked to them as my role models, but I didn't I didn't want to just play a Latina. Although I feel like I was very proud to play the character of Gina Calabrese. Because
Yes.
it wasn't ever talked about that I was a Latina. I was just playing a cop. And I think I may have started a trend there with all these other little Latin girls that show up after me. The same with you. You really broke a barrier. You were the lead in your own show. I mean, that's pretty amazing. I loved that show. It was so sensitive and so.
Oh, thank you. I'll Fly Away will always be a very special experience for me. And I understand the idea of being who you are, being exactly who you are, whether you're named Black or female or named that I am who exactly I am, playing these different roles. To have the opportunity then to play who you are and show the complexity, whatever you're named,
Right.
of exactly who you are is very special. To be able to point to you, Saundra Santiago, on a screen and say, that's me. I look like her. And look at the vastness in terms of her exposing her soul to the world, letting us know you can't box us in,
Right.
box us
Right.
in. I think what you have done is very liberating in terms of presenting images on the screen
Oh,
that
thank
show a variety and a complexity, both good and bad, both frail and strong. That I think we need these images.
you. Especially for ethnic types like us. I don't, I've really tried to stay away from the ugly stereotype. Whenever I get an audition and they want me to use an accent and it's one scene and she has a drug addict son and she's saying, ay mijo, oh, ay mijo, don't do this, don't, I'm like, no, we're not all that. We are we are so much more than that. We're doctors, we're lawyers, we're secretaries, we're all over the, you know, why do they keep writing the same stereotypical part?
It seems that the industry is changing. In this present moment in time, we are seeing, in terms of people of color, an explosion of projects where we are at the center of the stories. I find that really exciting. I find it really interesting that it's happening right here and now. What do you think?
Um, yes, I do feel there, especially, but more for Black actresses. It's amazing to me what's happening. You know, it's great because all those characters are strong and bold and deep and beautiful. Um, it may happen for Latin women too, but I don't know. In my case, right now, I'm an older woman right now, which in itself is a challenge, as you know. They just don't write good parts for older women. Uh, Whether they're Black, white, Asian, they're just not out there, you know? And the few that are being written go to the same stars, because they take them all now. So I think we need more writers writing like
And
you.
more producers.
More
And that is what's happening in this present moment. We are seeing more producers of
good.
color. And I think that's key. Those who are making the decisions from the top to the bottom. So
That's
it filters through producers to writers to people hanging the lights, as well as the actors, to the people driving to that you see at this moment in time. Uh, something that is an opening, uh, an opportunity in terms of us moving forward. We hope that it goes beyond this present moment.
Yes.
But
Well,
in this moment, it's really exciting, all the possibilities.
I've had some interesting auditions of late.
Hmm.
Um, I haven't heard back, but you know, I keep it's like a numbers game, the more you do, you know, something will click. But I just keep going back to the time when I got to New York and there was Joe Papp, who you worked for. I didn't work for Joe Papp. And
Yeah,
I'm sorry to say,
public theater.
I prayed to work with the man, but it never happened. I mean, he was doing that. He was providing great parts for ethnic people, long time ago, Raul Julia. And
Right.
uh,
Liz Stratos, yes.
he discovered a lot of actors.
And writers, yes.
So that it kind of happened, and then we went backward. Now we're moving forward again. I guess that's the way it is. It's like a pendulum.
Yes, it is. And each time, every generation has to fight for it.
Right, right, right.
And hopefully, we learn from our history, figure out some new strategies moving forward. What would you tell um, your younger self
Oh wow.
now? What would you tell your younger self moving forward? Starting out.
I would be more. Well, I couldn't have been because I didn't know. I was so naive. You
But
know,
now that you know, what would you tell her?
pay more attention. Uh, party less. Party less. Pay more attention to when you think you've studied. Study even harder. When you think you've gone over something, a scene, do it over and over and over, because it's always going to get better. The more you work, the harder you work, the better you're going to be. And I think what happened to me was uh, having that first luck with a view from the bridge. I got a little lazy. I thought it came a little too easy, and I stopped paying attention to my work.
I find you to be a really hardworking actress.
When I was at SMU, I was
Hmm.
at SMU. Oh my God, that's all I did. I was possessed with it. But when I got to New York and I started to have some freedom, because I was very sheltered. I come from a very sheltered upbringing, and I was, like my bird, like I wanted to fly away, and like your show, I'll fly away. I wanted to experiment, and I went. I think I partied too much, not in a bad way, but just I should have taken these movie auditions more seriously. Every audition is so important.
Hmm.
And I may not have been as prepared as I should have been. That's my younger self. Be prepared. Do not let your guard down, because you never know who's watching, who's around the corner, who's going to, get this, I was in a restaurant at Columbus uh, in the early 80s. I was doing Miami Vice, and there was the casting director there for a Spielberg film, and I didn't know she was seeing me. I didn't even know who she was. Next day, I get a call. My agent said, "So and so saw you, and they think you're perfect for this part." And sure enough, I actually got the role. It was for Batteries Not Included. He wasn't directing, but it was a Spielberg production. and it was starring opposite Jessica Tandy and Hume Crone.
Right.
I mean, it was such a great little film, and I had to back out because Miami Vice wouldn't let me out of my,
Oh, yeah.
they wouldn't let me go.
Yeah.
But that happened because I happened to be in a restaurant.
Right place, right time. There is something about luck, and luck happens rarely. A lot is about preparation. And I have to say that you have achieved so much because you are prepared, because you are a wonderful actress, wonderful, wondrous actress, and you get in there and you do the job. I've seen you with like these heavyweight actors in a scene and you gobble it up. There's something about, innate ability. There's something about preparation and hard work. And I see you work hard each and every time, whether that is with something like The Sopranos or Damages or all of your roles.
You
It's
know,
amazing because you are one of those actors. When you talk about the craft, when you're talking about those actors who get in and mix it up, that's why they call you for these roles, is because that's who you are.
well, it's not only just preparation, but when you're on set,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I was on a set recently, and I see these actors on their phones right before they're going to go do a scene.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, and I'm like, that's not a way to prep right before a scene. Not in my, I view going on a set as just like the theater. You take your time off the stage before you enter because you have to take the life of that character. You're still living that life off stage. So that life has to come on stage with you.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't enter the scene and then start acting. And that's, I feel that way about film. You just don't sit in your chair and then they call you and you're sitting there, you know, looking at Instagram or whatever, and then do the scene with the actor next, there's a lot of thought process. Now, you got to make that look easy too. You don't want it
Right.
to look like it's hard work. You want it to look effortless.
Mm-hmm.
Like the thing about Meryl Streep,
Mm-hmm.
she always makes it look effortless.
Right. Yes.
And she works hard too, from what I hear.
Mm-hmm.
But she's an old theater pro, started young, and she makes it look like God. Where did she come up with that? Because there's prep, there's thought process, creating a role. All those books, creating a role. It's not just going up there and saying the lines.
Mm-hmm.
Some some lines are easier to say because they're better written. Sometimes it's hard to do like these episodics and the writing is and you're like, how the hell am I gonna make this work? When I did the soap opera, I also did a soap opera for
Yes, I know you did a couple of soap operas and you were nominated for a Daytime Emmy
no,
for one of them where I think you were in 2002, you were uh, the most popular villain. Was that the Guiding Light? I'm telling you, whatever you do, whatever role you take, you do it fully. You do it fully and you shine. That's
that,
why I applaud you. I'm sorry.
no, that doing that soap was
Mhm.
another class in itself. Like I felt like I was in another, like going to school again,
Yeah.
because they would give me uh 15 pages at a
Mm,
lot of monologues. Because
mhm,
I learned one monologue once and they went, oh, she's good with monologues. So
mm,
more monologues.
mhm. And
And
people don't understand how grueling a soap opera can be, because you do get a lot of pages and you do it in that day.
Mhm.
And you have to be on point when the camera starts rolling.
They
Yes.
don't give you a lot of takes.
Uh,
It's not like, oh, I messed up. Can I do that again? No, you're not going to get a lot of agains. So you have to be on cue right away and you have to be prepared. And then my character was she was evil, but she was also loving. Anyway, I tried to fill her with some humanity.
yes.
They like, when they write an evil character, they love to write the evil because that gets the fans going. Oh, she's so bad. She's so bad. And then I would say, but come on, you got to give this character a little humanity.
Right, there's some layers to it. And people don't also know that that's what goes on behind the scenes, is that you take on a role and it is sometimes collaborative. So you go in and you have conversations with the writers, with the director, about a direction of which way the character might go, to add some layers to the character. To have that input is really wonderful when you have those opportunities when you're working. It is that you go back and forth between these mediums, that you can sing. So it's been lovely watching you traverse all these areas, being in the Heights, to Evita, to what was it, where you sent me a video of your just blasting it out with this song. Ah, what was it? I loved it. I cherished that.
Oh, was it Mama Rose?
Yes, Mama Rose. You wore that out. I'm telling you.
Okay, okay, I forgot about Mama Rose. I guess I would say if it wasn't like I only played for 2 weeks of that in this small little theater in outside of Chicago, and
Mm,
no one got to see it, but I had the time of my life playing,
yes. Mm,
and I was just ready for it. My chops were still good, my singing chops,
yes.
and
Yes.
well written musical character role. It's so
Yes.
well written.
Mhm.
Uh, Besides the music, that's incredible. But the character, she's crazy. She's mean. She's outrageous. You know, I read a lot about the real mother, and I try to incorporate some of those qualities. But it's like Evita. When I played Evita, I
Yeah.
read like 2 or 3 books about the real Evita Peron, and I wanted to incorporate some of. When a character's already established, it's hard to change. I try, but it's difficult. Like, I don't know if they wrote that role because of Patty LuPone's strength, or because they just want to present this part of this character.
Mm. And what is it like to take on a role uh, that has the signature of another actress who originated it? How do you feel stepping into a role? Do you feel you have to do it the same way as that person, or uh, do you take it on and make it your own?
Well, that's a very interesting question because that just recently happened to me in The Heights. The characters played originally by Olga Meredith, who's a wonderful actor and a great singer, but we're both typically very different,
Mhm.
completely different, and our acting styles are different too. So when I got the role, I was sort of surprised, and I guess they have to pick the person who can sing the song first and most, sing the damn song, because
Mhm.
the song is very hard. And then you kind of have to fit a stereo, she has to be frail. I played her differently in that I didn't play her more like an old lady. I played her more like this is an older woman who has some kind of ailment, like maybe she's dying, maybe she has cancer or or something, and she plays the lotto every week and she finally wins it. And it really, it just, the moment when she wins it and she sings a song is so revelation. It's just like a revelation because she had nothing her whole life. She came from the island, very much like my mother.
Mm.
I think I added a lot of my own mother's experience. I always want to add my own personal experiences too, because that makes it more realistic, you know. Um, and what happened was, though, I kept getting notes
Mm.
from the director. He says, "No, you sit down on this line." I go, "But oh, okay, why?" Well, that's where Olga sat, and that kind of annoyed me because I didn't. I said, "Well, I didn't feel. I don't know why. Why do I have to sit exactly on a cue?" Well,
Mm.
the dancers are doing something here and the dancers are doing something here. So if you sit, blah, 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 blah. And I went, and so I let that go. I let that go.
Mm.
And I kept getting little other internal notes. And sure enough, the notes were for me to do it more like Olga Meredith.
Yeah.
And I adjusted some of them. I tried to be gracious about it. But for the most part, I did the song the way I wanted to sing the song.
Yes, as only Saundra Santiago can.
I didn't sing it like Olga would do it. They could tell me where to sit and where to move and where to look, but they couldn't tell me how to sing it.
Right. That is uniquely your own.
Well, we why I'm not an understudy, going on opposite the other actor, who the other actor wants you to do the same thing at the same time so that they don't have to adjust, you know, in a long running play. Have you ever had to do that?
Well, I haven't. I've done long running plays. Yes, I have.
And when the understudy, I did that in nine. I wasn't an understudy, but I saw the understudies go on
Mhm.
opposite Antonio.
Right.
And
That is the difference between taking on a role from the top of rehearsal and coming in as an understudy. A lot of times, understudies have to follow the marks because they step into an already established group
right,
ensemble. So people want to know where you're going and how you do it because that's how they've rehearsed it. That's how they're playing it. And you come in I don't know, the fifth month, people want to hit your marks. That is the difference. And there is more leeway coming in um, uh, at the top of rehearsal. It may be something that someone's already done, but you come in at the top of the rehearsal and uh, it is you that
yeah,
they've hired. And you bring your unique best to it, as you always have. Uh,
like
what
that.
is the secret of your longevity, Madame?
I'm stubborn. I'm st- I'm very stubborn. I'm hard headed. I love acting. I discovered it. It was, and I think we became actors because of some insecurity in our past life, you know, uh, or the chance to escape into another world. I like doing that. I like escaping into other worlds and playing different parts. I don't know why, but I just do. I just love engulfing myself in a character that that I can connect to and that I have a good time with. It's almost meditative for me. You know, I'm not good at meditating, but I think the closest I come to meditating is when I'm acting,
Mm.
because I try and check out and enter this character.
Right.
Whether I add elements of me or not, but I do like check out and I'm free. I feel the freest as a human being when I'm acting. Um, so it's a passion. I'm passionate about it. I refuse to. I thought this year. I guess that's it for me. I guess I should just retire. But then they started sending me parts again, auditions, and I went, oh God. I'm like, Al Pacino in Godfather 3 when he says, just when I'm out, they want, just when I'm like, they want to drag me back. I don't know the right line. That's what it is. And what keeps you going? Because
I
you,
love what I
huh?
love what I do. I love what I do. I love what I do.
That's it.
It
It-
is the air that I breathe. It sustains me. It keeps me moving forward. It feeds me as I am giving my humble offerings. Um, I feel that I have a purpose
And
in what I do.
every time you open your mouth, you can see that. I mean, you're meant to do, we're meant to do what we do, you know? And I've had a lot of people say that, you know, I just, whenever you do something, I'm always sort of enthralled because you always surprise me. And I go, well, that's good because I want to keep surprising people.
Mhm.
The only thing I haven't done is gone naked or anything like that, which, you know, oh, I was naked in a play once off Broadway from here up. That was interesting, but I was young, I was embarrassed about my body. Now I'm a little, like,
Oh, stop, stop.
oh, what
Okay.
I saw yesterday that um I got Hulu finally.
Uh-huh.
I saw United United States versus Billie Holiday.
Oh, yes.
Have you seen
Mhm. I haven't seen it yet, but it's on my list. I'll probably be watching it this weekend.
it?
Yes.
Amazing. And I saw her sing
Mm.
some event in LA, and she was brand new, like Andra Day. And like, who's Andra Day? She sounds a lot like Billie Holiday. She's very interesting, very beautiful. Now here she is playing Billie Holiday.
Right.
She did such an amazing job. Like, and I gotta say, she was better than.
Well, I think she did an excellent job from the scenes that I've seen of it. She does an excellent job,
I like.
and it looks like what she is, is fearless.
Oh
And I
my
think you recognize that because you are fearless too in the roles that you do.
gosh, she
Yeah.
had these hard scenes to do.
Did you hear what I said? Did you hear what I said?
That I'm fearless like that too.
Yes.
I am
Yeah.
fearless. I
Yes, you are a warrior spirit with every role that you play. And so I look forward to the next and the next, Miss Saundra Santiago.
I look forward to working with you.
Yes, yes. I think we have to do something together sometime. Let's talk about that. That'll be our next conversation. Uh, thank you. Thank you so much for spending this time.
Thank you,
I
Regina,
appreciate you so
for
much.
asking me.
Yeah.
Mwah.